Diana. Welcome to a daily devotion. I am so proud of you for pausing during the midst of a busy day to spend some time focusing on God during this beginning of the new year of 2020. Because that's what we are doing this year. We are having a fresh start. And this week, we are wrapping up a series of devotions on the disciplines of discipleship. So far, we've talked about the discipline of reading scripture, of having a devoted prayer life, of service, and of silence. And today, we are going to consider the discipline of fasting. Now, oftentimes when we hear fasting, you might hear it in reference, it's kind of popular around dieting and intermittent fasting and that kind of stuff. Now, there is a type of fasting in the Christian tradition of where you fast from all foods, and in other traditions too, or certain foods. And so that is one aspect of fasting. But we often talk about fasting in other ways too, which is refraining from something, fasting from something, so that in another way you can draw closer to God. And I think this is especially important, especially for some people who might have disordered eating or other issues around food. But consider, is there something in your life that you might refrain from for a certain period of time that would make space to allow you to grow closer to God? You know, growing closer to God is an important part of being a disciple, of doing a discipline of growing closer and going more in depth. I want to read for you from Psalm 51. Now, we often read this psalm on Ash Wednesday, which will be coming up in a few weeks, the beginning of Lent. And that's also when you often hear about fasting, because that's one of the practices during that time. But this is from Psalm 51. It is a psalm that begins, "Create in me a clean heart, O God." And here is verse 16 to 17 that I want to draw your attention to. "You, God, don't want sacrifices. If I gave you an entirely burnt offering, you wouldn't be pleased. A broken spirit is my sacrifice, God. You won't despise a heart that is broken and crushed." Now, that doesn't sound particularly pleasant, but what I think the author is talking about is God desires a heart that goes for God. And broken and crushed doesn't mean that it is painful. It means that it is a heart which is open, wide open for God to rework, for God to put together in a new way, to make a mosaic or to put the pieces back together. But first, you have to change. And fasting is one of those ways that we can intentionally make a little bit of room for God to be at work in our lives. So I want you to consider, what might you fast from if this is your discipline of discipleship that you want to go deeper with? For some, maybe it's you want to fast from social media for a week or a couple of weeks or one day a week. For others, it might be that you want to fast from TV or having the news on all the time, or something else that you find that's taking you away from God. Only you know what you might need to fast from so that God can be at work in your life, and so that you can draw closer to Jesus Christ in a discipline of discipleship. Will you pray with me? Gracious and loving God, help me see what's going on in my life that I may need to refrain from, so that I can find space for you. Help me to see how you are at work, so that in my life, building and helping me grow as a follower of Jesus Christ. All these things I pray in his name. Amen. Thank you so much for joining me. This wraps up our disciplines of discipleship. And so I remember your challenge. What one discipline do you want to go deeper in? Is it reading scripture? Is it having a devoted prayer life? Is it service? Is it silence? Is it fasting from something? Let us know in the comments. And if you need any resources, let us know. We are happy to equip you in your disciplines of discipleship journey of 2022. Have a blessed day.